All right, welcome everybody to the Science of Golf Performance. I'm Bobby.
I'm Will.
And the PT team here today is going to talk to you about why you should stop stretching your hamstrings. Because it doesn't work.
This is a big one.
This is a big one. So we have a lot of people that come in, especially before they play a round of golf. They feel like they need to stretch their hamstrings and touch their toes. They do it before they go to bed. They do it when they wake up in the morning. They feel like their back is tight, and they've been stretching their hamstrings for 20 years and it hasn't done a single thing to help them out.
Yep.
It's frustrating. It's sad. It's a waste of time. It's not helping you on your golf game. It might actually be harming things a little bit. We'll talk briefly about that. But it's not doing anything beneficial. So we want to help you fix that because maybe you've just done that since you were a kid playing sports. Maybe you've seen other people on the range doing it and thought, hey, I need to do this too. We're here to stop you stretching your hamstrings and help you actually get better a lot quicker. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that your hamstrings don't need any more length than they already have, unless you've been sitting for a couple years.
Without getting up.
Yep. Right? And they don't need any more length. They are not actually shorter. Right. They might feel tight and they might act like they're tight, but the muscle itself isn't actually any shorter than what you need it. So stretching is not going to fix a problem that's not actually there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the hamstrings too, when we get that tight feeling, it's not necessarily that they are tight, as Bobby's kind of touched on. It can be kind of a cause, a correlation of something else going on in the body, right? So if something's going on, the hamstrings are becoming tight because of it. So just because you have tight hamstrings doesn't mean that it's actually tight hamstrings. It's almost a reaction to the body. So we have to learn how to clear up the other thing over here to help the hamstrings calm down a little bit.
Exactly. We had a couple of episodes ago where we talked a lot about the difference between a cause and a symptom. Right. 15 times out of 10, the hamstring isn't the cause, right? It's something that you feel, but it's a symptom of actually another problem that's going on somewhere in your body.
Right.
And we're going to talk through in the next couple of series some ways to assess kind of where you are and see some common ways to fix it. The last little thing on my soapbox here is that stretching actually doesn't, if it was a length problem, stretching isn't going to increase your length anyways. Right. Similarly to you're not sitting in a chair for 2 years at a time, stretching for 30 seconds, even 60 seconds, even 3 minutes doesn't actually increase length of anything. So
right.
You've got to stretch for a while.
For sure.
A couple days, a couple weeks. Yeah.
And the big thing too with that is, stretching statically at least. So just holding the length and hanging out there for however long, right? What's that going to do for us, right? We're going to stretch, we're going to hurt while doing it, and we're going to come right back to where we were.
Yeah, it's not going to feel very good, and then it's not going to be helpful.
Exactly. The big thing is learning how to actually move with longer or increasing the amount of flexibility that the hamstrings have versus actually lengthening the hamstrings, learning how to move with them.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into one of the common things we see, especially with golfers. So I want to touch on pelvis position. All right. So your hamstrings, to get a little bit into the anatomy, go from behind your knee up into your pelvis. All right. The position your pelvis is in can have a large effect on how the hamstrings are feeling and how the hamstrings are moving. So the usual joke I make is if you're walking around like an Instagram model all day, you got a big old arch in your back and your butt's sticking out. That's going to put a lot of tension on those hamstrings, regardless of how long or short they are.
Right.
Absolutely. This is a common position for golfers to be in because it kind of looks like your follow through, right?
Right.
On a good follow through, your back is a little bit arched, your hips are kind of forward. That's just what you've probably been doing for how many hours at the range for the past couple of years.
Right.
So what we work a lot on is getting you back into at least a more neutral position. We're going to talk a little bit about posture maybe in a later episode and when it's important and when it's not important. Will touched on a great point. You want to be able to move better. We don't want you to be stuck like this all day, every day.
Right.
We want to be able to move out of it and we want to be able to move into it. Right? If you're doing this 24/7, I guarantee you not just your hamstrings are going to be tight, but a lot of other stuff is going to hurt as well.
Absolutely. And to go off of that too, one of the most common things we see in that idea, that feeling of tightness, is actually more of a overfiring of the hamstrings. So it's actually them resisting the move. So if you want to try stretching them, right, they're going to fight that. And essentially, they're going to be overfired and resist you from actually being able to move with the hamstrings. That's one of the most common things we see. And it's a very natural thing, actually. Mm-hmm. It's one of these things that we see that, when you say lean forward, for example, feel the hamstrings pull, it's almost like a defensive mechanism that we just naturally do. And it's one of the things too that like over here at Powerful Work Success, we teach everybody how to perform the hinge motion, the deadlift motion. And one thing that happens though that we see a lot is that the hamstrings get in the way. And so by learning how to shut them off, we can quickly learn how to hinge. And it's one of the most functional movements in really all sports and life.
Yep, absolutely. It's very important for your golf game. If you look at some of the longest hitters, both men and women, they have some of the best hip hinges in terms of form and strength really in the world. So if you can't do it and you can't touch your toes and you feel like your hamstrings are tight, we're here to tell you stretching is not the answer. Now you're probably wondering, well, what is the answer? I don't know what else to do.
Right.
And that's going to be the whole point of the next couple of videos that we go over. There's also a lot of other content on our YouTube channel. There's some soft tissue work that you can do. There's a lot of strength exercises that you can do to learn how to move more appropriately, take some pressure off of those hamstrings and get them to loosen up. So
Absolutely.
I think that covers at least the start. Do you have anything else to add, Will?
I think that's a good start.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So we got a couple more videos coming up. We also have some blog articles on this exact type of problem because it is so common and we see so many people struggle with it when really it shouldn't be that hard. So hopefully you found this maybe a little bit informative and kind of gets you interested in what's coming next. If you did, make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can get notified when those next videos come out. Check out our blog too.
Absolutely.
Right? Look at what we're writing about these topics so you can learn that way as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and we'll see you all next time.
Give a like.